Hey, it's John and Mike, brew-deuce.com. It's another week and another beer that Mike brewed.
It's strangely the same color as the last one.
Yeah, I was going to say, it's
okay.
It's an
that wasn't
autumn,
by design.
It's another autumn beer, because you can tell by the amber color of the
leaves are getting ready to fall here.
Yes, and that's it. So, you know the drill. He's gonna tell us all about it while I enjoy.
This one has a couple of interesting twists to it, but this is basically a brown ale. Everybody knows that I love my brown ales. I love brown ales. But like a lot of other beer styles, I keep screwing around rather than trying to brew the best brown ale I can. I don't think this is bad, but we'll get your opinion on it in a second. So this is a brown ale that it's a brewer's malt, so that Briess Brewer's malt. I'm still working through a 50-pound bag.
Yeah, hit it.
I do actually kind of like it. 5 pounds of that. This is a 3.5-gallon batch for people. And then it's half a pound of amber malt. It's 10 ounces of Karistan. 35 love.
Yep.
You've got to mention the, right?
Yeah, sure.
That amber malt's about 22 love. And then to give it the color, to make it a brown ale, I don't think I've actually done this before. This is a full half pound of chocolate rye. So chocolate rye making his appearance again.
Yep. How old is the chocolate rye?
But normally for me, I was trying to figure that out. It's been around. Well, it's probably 6 plus
pre-pandemic.
Pre-pandemic, absolutely. Yeah, I got it as a third place award in a competition for an American Pale Ale. It was like, here's 25 pounds of chocolate rye that the club couldn't use.
Yeah,
no kidding.
Thanks. What a gift.
So anyway, so like usually for me a brown ale recipe would be some combination of special roast,
sure,
which is about 50 love, and then like pale chocolate or American chocolate, which is 350 love. Mm-hmm. This stuff clocks in. This is actually from here in New England. This chocolate rye is actually from Valley Malting,
yep.
right?
Yeah, I think,
And so on their website, chocolate rye by other means is a little bit darker, but their stuff is 175 love a bond.
Okay.
So it's sort of like, yeah. So it's lighter than even pale chocolate.
I was going to say, right? Lighter than pale chocolate.
Yeah, pale chocolate's like 2 to 250, depending on who's making it. So anyway, so that's what this is. The malt character is this. Another slight twist. I don't know where I came up with this idea. Probably just cleaning out freezers. Hops.
Yeah,
this is at 60 minutes. Yeah, there is something.
Yeah.
At 60 minutes, this is 1.5 ounces of crystal.
Oh, crystal hops.
And then at 10 minutes to go, you can see a theme with my how I put these things together. 1/2 ounce of the same crystal with 10 minutes to go. Then I mashed this in. I did a slightly different. This is 152 for 60 minutes, and then I go to 158 for like 15, and then I mash out at 168. So just sort of trying to push fermentability. Totally wasting time out there, but it is what it is. Again, fermented in the basement for about 20 days at 68F. And original gravity on this one was where I wanted it to be. It was about 1049. Fermented down to 1011 for an ABV of 5%.
Nice.
So, and then the yeast on this thing.
Please.
This is a combination.
Please.
This is a combination. I love blending yeasts. This is Cellar Science English along with Cellar Science Cali.
Okay.
And the reason for that is the American yeast, being clean, sort of is competing for sugars.
Sure.
Where the English yeast is doing its thing and putting its flavor out there. So I've noticed that you can sort of tame a little bit of the English character. I didn't want it to be too Englishy, but I still love a little bit of touch of that. So, you know, you can get that clean yeast is sort of taking up half the space of the English yeast, if you think about it that way. And something else I've noticed in the long run is that if you mix a highly flocculent yeast together with a not so flocculent yeast, the English, right? That English yeast will say, we're done, and it will pull everybody out of the party. And so it helps with clarity too, a little bit too, I've noticed. So anyway, it's a little hazy, but
yeah, it is. But it's
been in the keg for about 5 days.
But it is getting there. It is getting clearer and clearer. Well, I'd say overall appearance, more amber than brown for sure. I think as it clears, getting more of those red highlights in there when you hold it up to the light. persistent thick off, like I'd say, like tan head.
Yep.
Actually, on the nose, those those crystal hops are coming through. Nice. It's like got a really nice English, you know. I wouldn't say herbal, I guess.
It's like earthy.
Earthy.
I mean, it's herbal. It's earthy herbal.
Yeah.
You know.
More herbal than earthy.
Yeah. Think so?
I don't know. I'm kidding. I just
It's
wanted
in
to say
that ballpark. I mean, there's definitely some of
Nah,
that.
yeah, it's
It's a little bit grassy.
yeah,
earthy.
but it's distinct for an English ale
But it
style.
doesn't have that very subtle twinge of
spice or something.
sweet spiciness that an EKG does. Like that's the only difference.
Yeah,
It's
I
sort of like
know.
the difference between black tea and like Earl Grey.
Yeah.
Is how to think for me. Like, and I don't really like Earl Grey tea, but I love EKG hops. So EKG hops just sort of have a little bit of like almost something fruity in there. Crystal, it's mostly that earth and herbal and spicy thing.
Yeah. So I think, you know, if you were to tell me this was just an English pale, I'd say, yeah, this is an English pale. Trying to get some of that amber malt.
Yeah, I think the amber and the Karastan come together to create a different flavor experience that is hard to pull them apart.
Yeah.
Amber malt is historically for me is just really 22 Lovabond. It's sort of like this weird. I don't know. It doesn't really do much for me. But I had like half a pound of it left, so that's why it found its way into this beer.
Yeah.
And I really like Karastan with just like pale ale malt. Just those two together makes great bitters, like English style pale type beers. I think what I'm missing for me in like a brown ale is that subtle bit of like a nutty.
Yeah.
There's really no biscuit here,
No.
and I need that in a brown ale for me to be like to love it. But I
like
just
it.
wanted to see what I use that chocolate all the time for a little bit of color adjustment. But I just said, let me just taste it.
Yeah.
Like, let's put it in here. I think the foam, the head retention, like rye contributes a significant amount of body.
Yeah.
At least body stabilizers. And that's I think what's doing that. I mean, it gets some
It's
lacing
beautiful,
and
yeah.
stuff, so that's cool.
Yeah. That looks good.
You know, but yeah, I mean, it's not the true structure of a brown ale the way I want it, but it was just, again, something fun, something different to do and play with that. And I'm just trying to burn through that chocolate rye.
So what do you think? I'll ask you a few questions because when you talked about the ingredients here, I'm glad we talked about like just the overall appearance and impression of this beer because, yeah, like I said, it seems more pale ale than brown, but
Yep.
and I think you nailed that missing factor, which is the nuttiness. Sometimes I feel like it's like almost like what brown sugar tastes like without the sweetness,
Yeah.
that sort of thing. Sometimes in brown ales, I get that
Yeah,
too. Crystal hops.
Yeah.
What do you think of that as another English variety? Yes, no? You'd
You
rather
know,
use AKG.
I use so much EKG that I would like to use something else from time
Yeah.
to time.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess this scratches that itch, but I'd
Yeah.
probably rather go with like, I mean, Archer, which is a high alpha.
Mm-hmm.
What else is there? I mean, that's the thing. We all know that other one with the F that tastes like dirt, so I don't want that one in here. But yeah, I mean, there aren't a lot of choices really. So,
true.
and the other thing, a lot of those European hops it's hard to get alpha there. I mean, a lot of them are like really starting to struggle due to just whether it be climate issues or just they've had several years of weird just weather and stuff. So I don't know. Hopefully EKG keeps trucking. Seeing how a lot of the world is probably tied up in it. So yeah, I would prefer EKG in this. In all my English beers, I guess.
What do you think about the combo of the American and the English yeast strains?
Yeah, I mean, if this was full on English and there was more ester character,
Yeah.
it might be a little bit too much.
You think?
I think that interplay between the Karastan and the amber malts giving you this, lowish Lovabond, not quite caramel, but there's definitely a sweetness there. Like for me, like when you go from like Cara Pils into like that C40. C40 is really just more of a sugary sweetness with just like the early hints of like a golden syrup. And it's not until you get to like 60 to me you're really starting to build a toffee, brown, sugary type of thing. And 80 definitely delivers that, and then 80 beyond, you start getting that raisiny. Yeah. So anyway, I think this 35-22 love of these two malts just giving you a sweetness level that if there was full English in character, I know for me it would be too much sense of like ester sweetness coming together. It would just be too much, I think. So, which is why I blended those two together, because I wanted to sort of curb it, but still feel like I was paying homage to my English brown ale love, roots, if you will, of English brown ales. So
that last sip I just got, as it warms up, there's a lot of interplay between the hops.
I think this is an interesting beer that I'll probably drink and enjoy as the weather continues to change. And
I'm getting a little more like
it's not bad,
like more like fruit notes to it too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think this, along with the beer we had last week, I think these are great campfire beers.
Yeah,
When I brewed this one first, and then when I brewed the Kentucky Common, I was like, man, somehow these things came out to the same color.
Like, I mean, I knew. You look at the recipe, you're like, it's probably gonna be close.
Yeah.
But two beers back to back the same color. Oh well, it is what it is.
Yeah, well, it's it's autumn when Mike starts brewing beers of a darker SRM, right? I mean, that's how it goes. Depending on whatever color scale you use, right? There's EBC, is that the young one?
Yes, yeah.
Right, making sure I'm not just talking out of school. I actually read a book or two. Maybe I wrote a book too. All right, well, that's what we have for fall beers. Another one. This is a not so brown ale, with a lot of Mike fooling around with stuff, trying to get rid of his chocolate rye. It had some crystal hops, which, did you just have those in the inventory?
Yes. Yeah, I don't remember why I picked them up, but they were in there. So
probably
now they're not in there. They're
probably
here,
another pre-pandemic purchase. And then certainly fooling around with blending yeast strains from Cellar Science. Definitely want to use another one of their varieties or strains, if that's probably the better term for it. Got my Harvest Ale trying to do, and I think I want to bring some. I don't know if it's the hazy one. They have one I think is for like juicy IPAs.
Yeah. Is that they have one called hazy?
They have one that's called hazy. I mean, I've seen that, but I think there's another one that our local homebrew shop did not have, does not have in their lineup. So I might have to go like outside to find it.
I want to get my hands on. They have one called Baja.
Baja.
Which is like a Mexican lager.
Baja.
I want to get my hands on that one.
Yeah, let's get your hands on it. All right. Well, that's all we have to say about that. If you like this video, give us a thumbs up. Subscribe to our channel. We try to do this kind of thing every single week. For John and Mike, brew-dudes.com. Brew on.
Cheers.